Friday, everyone. Your real worth isn't defined by your net worth. What makes you valuable is how you use what you have been given. All of us have gifts. Make sure you're making the most of yours. Have an amazing Friday.
It is now the bottom of the hour. I'm excited to welcome Nancy Matthews to our program today. Nancy is an author of a book. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for you guys. There it is, The One Philosophy. We're going to talk to Nancy not only about the re-release of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share the message with all of you guys. Nancy, great to have you on with us.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here.
Although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and, being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today.
My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
When you do nothing, nothing happens. Best time to take action is now. This is the time to work on you and your business. So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.
Friday, everyone. Your real worth isn't defined by your net worth. What makes you valuable is how you use what you have been given. All of us have gifts. Make sure you're making the most of yours. Have an amazing Friday.
It is now the bottom of the hour. I'm excited to welcome Nancy Matthews to our program today. Nancy is an author of a book. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for you guys. There it is. There it is. The one philosophy. We're going to talk to Nancy not only about the release of the book, but also what it's like for her to share the message with all of you guys. Nancy, great to have you on with us.
Hello. So happy to be here.
Good morning. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao. Hola. Buongiorno. Bienvenue. Wan Ying. Bienvenidos. Benvenuta. And welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each week, I get the amazing opportunity to take you on a journey, to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. Gemstones The whole history of mankind revolves around gemstones, either directly or indirectly. Kings have been and queens have been created. Civilizations were discovered and destroyed. Whole empires have come around gemstones. So what I do is I take those stories and I use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help you begin your journey of discovering the value of your own stories. Welcome, for those of you who are new, welcome to the Gem Hunter Story Show. And those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that each week I talk about discovering the value of your story. And when you make the conscious decision to do that, because it really is a conscious decision to start to look at yourself and look at all the things that has brought you to this point in your life, one of the things that you have to do, one of the things that I think is helpful, as you know, that I train people how to tell their stories. And one of the things I ask my clients to do is to look at words. Look at words, look at concepts, look at things that they've been called in their lives, or things that people have said about them or told them about who they are, and use those things. See if you can take those words and find deeper meanings to them. Robert, bring up my screen, please. And so I entitled this show, Why You Should Be a Gold Digger. And I know some of you got on today because thinking, what is he going to say today? Really? Because when you think of a gold digger, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about a gold digger? When the song came out, I remember thinking to myself, wow, I really love the song, Gold Digger. You know, in fact, I looked up the definition because I just wanted to be clear, because I was so surprised at just the wording of the song, the pictures, the images. So I looked it up, as I always do when I look up a word, when I'm trying to find a deeper meaning. I go to Webster's and I looked at Webster's and it said gold digger. This is the actual definition in Webster's. A woman, which is already wrong, a woman who in her personal relations with men tries to get money and gifts from them. And it's already wrong. Not that women, we don't think of women in that way, but women are not the only gold diggers. On this show, many, many episodes, again, I told you about Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was the first global player, you know, at least the first recorded global. Julius Caesar had a wife. Julius Caesar had about 400 or 500 women. And when he met Cleopatra, everything stopped. Why? Not because Cleopatra was a beautiful woman. As I told you, Cleopatra was the product of incestuous relationships. So by all the accounts I read, she wasn't the prettiest woman in the world by far. But she owned gold mines. She owned emerald mines. So when she rolled out of that carpet, and I love that image, how her servant rolled her out of that carpet. And I imagine in my mind that she stood up and just voila. And when Julius Caesar saw her, I think of that scene from Harlem Nights, you know, the guy that called his wife and said, hey, Barbara, yeah, this is Bill. Yeah, I'm not coming home anymore. Okay, tell the kids I said bye, click. Because that's who Cleopatra was. And the reason why Julius Caesar fell in love with her is because she owned gold, because she was the richest woman in the world. So when you think about a gold digger, that's what most people think about. When I put hopefully you watched the homework assignment I gave you of Kanye West's and Jamie Foxx's song, Gold Digger. I love that song. I love the beat of that song. I love just the images, and the women were just spectacular in that song. But despite all the different shapes and colors and heels and makeup and hair and all that, despite all that, that's not what a gold digger is. I remember thinking that when I first heard the song, I was like, yeah, okay, that's a nice song, but that's not what a gold digger is. A gold digger is this. This is a gold digger. This man right here is a gold digger. You notice he doesn't have makeup on and heels and everything else. This is a gold digger. This man right here is a gold digger. What he is carrying, what he is covered in is the runoff. The runoff of mercury and cyanide that's literally covering his whole entire body. That is what a gold digger is. And he does this each and every day. This is his life. Notice no runway, no Lubus, wearing anything else. This is what a gold digger is. Gold, one of the places, let me introduce you to the highest city on earth. It's called La Recondanda. It's located in Peru. La Recondanda, or La Recanada, if I use the accent correctly. The highest city on earth. La Recondanda sits at La Recanada. I like that better pronunciation. La Recanada. La Recanada sits at an elevation of 16,725 feet. It is the highest city on earth. Just to give you perspective, it is higher than all the mountains in Asia, Europe, Africa, except Kilimanjaro. It is the highest city on earth, and it sits underneath a glacier. A glacier. The average temperature in La Recanada is 28 degrees. 28 to 32 degrees, average, year round. These people live in a city where there's no there's no sanitation, there's no sewage, there's nothing, there's no running water. The water that they get is from the water from the glacier, the runoff. But the problem with that is the way gold is produced. The gold, the mercury that they use, you need mercury to take gold out of the ground. So they use liquid mercury. And for those of you who have any science background whatsoever, or have lost a loved one due to mercury poisoning, knows that mercury is one of the most toxic elements. Remember, here we talk about science again, elements on Earth. Mercury will literally liquefy your organs. So the average life expectancy of someone who lives in La Recanada is 40. You're 40 years old and you're an old man. And not saying that you just die. You die of all types of strange illnesses due to this. So what happens is the mercury, the runoff, and the vapors cover the ice. So not only are these people using mercury to get gold, they're breathing it in. This is what a gold digger does. Notice the walls of ice in the glacier. And here's the men down here. And they're not wearing Timberlands. They're not wearing North Face equipment. They don't have thermal lining. They're just wearing basic uniforms. Basic uniforms, a hard hat. Oh, here's another surprise. A gold digger that works in La Recanada, you don't get paid. You work 30 days a month. And at the end of the 31st day, you get 4 hours. You get 4 hours to collect all the ore that you can find. You collect it, you put it in your bags, you literally go downhill and you try to mine whatever you get. You use not only just liquid mercury to get it all together, but then you have to burn that mercury off. So you're breathing that mercury. That is what a gold digger does. 25% of all the gold that is produced in the world is produced by women and children. And the problem with La Recanada, not only are they dealing with these harsh conditions as gold diggers, but women are not allowed. In that culture, everything is female, including the mountain. The mountain is a queen, and she's a jealous queen. So she doesn't want any woman to go into the mountain. So all the women that live in La Recanada have to work on the mountains, have to work the mines from the outside. They're not allowed inside the mines. So every day what they do is they get up and they get bags together. These are the housing. This is housing. This is normal housing in Lara and Kanata. They get together their children and they work the fields. They dig every day to just get a scrap of gold. These are women and children walking down the streets of Lara and Kanata. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see closely, but that brown liquid running down the streets that they're trying to avoid stepping into, it's breakfast time. So I'm going to just let you imagine what that brown liquid is. That is what a gold digger is. Here's a man walking out of the doorway of his workplace. That is what a gold digger is. So when you begin to think about what a gold digger is, you understand my problem when I heard Kanye's song about gold digger, because that's not what a gold digger is. And we're not talking about just in Lara Kanata. We're talking about all over the world. These are the conditions. These are what people who are gold diggers have to go through. This is Lara Kanata, downtown Lara Kanata. Sewage, garbage. There's no garbage. There's no sanitation. Rats as big as dogs. And this is their life. There's no unions. There's no safety conditions, or bare minimum, meaning like you just don't die when you walk in. So you can see my problems. This is the woman walking with her sack of rocks, just rocks, that she believes that she will take back to her home and try to beat the rocks just to see if she can get a glint, a small speck of gold. So a gold digger, let me change your whole focus of what a gold digger is. A gold digger is somebody who wakes up every morning and works 15, 18, 20 hours a day just for the dream of finding gold. In Lara Kanata, their population has increased by 250% because there is nothing else they can do other than having that hope. That is what a gold digger is. These are women. These are the women every day. They are on this hill. Look at this. Look at the angle. Look at the angle of that hill that they're walking. They're not only trying to hold on to the mountain, of course, they're used to it. And again, they don't have extra grip boots on. So they're trying to hold on and carry rocks that they believe might contain gold. And the sad thing about it is those same rocks were the same rocks they picked over the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. So my point is, when you think these are all women, men work in the mines. These are the women of Lara Kanata. These are gold diggers. Not as sexy, not as elegant, not as vibrant. Nobody has Lubus on. But this is what a gold digger is. And I say all this to say, just imagine what you could do if you were a gold digger. See, because a gold digger is a person who has unquestionable, unconquerable spirit. A gold digger is someone who wakes up every morning and believes to their heart and their soul that today is the day that their life is going to change. Imagine what you can do with that attitude. Imagine what you can do in your business, that no matter what happened Monday, Tuesday, today is Wednesday, today is the day. Imagine what you could do with that strength of character. These people are no different than you. They don't have superhuman strength. They're not genetically predisposed to deal with those cold and temperatures. People die in Lara Kanata all the time. mudslides, water slides, vapor from the mercury, from the cyanide, being burned, having fights in the mind, fighting for gold. When you finally, if you do get that gold, if you do find gold, these are women walking. This is every day. This is Laura Canada. Imagine this woman here. What does she wake up thinking this morning? How is she going to eat? How is she going to take care of her children? How is she going to survive one more day? Imagine if you had that mentality. If you, the power of a story you can see in these women. They all believe. They all said to themselves, I'm not giving up. Day after day after day, I'm not giving up because I believe that today, despite all the other days that nothing happened, all the other days, remember I told you that they would have to take whatever they have and go down range to have it refined. Well, most of the time, lots of times you get nothing. You're living off of the dream of your neighbor or your neighbor's neighbor or some friend, somebody who once upon a time, they got some gold. So you live off of that. These people who come to Laura Canada, like I said, the population is increased by 250% because why? Because of a story. Because someone told them a story that if you want to be rich, if you want to change your life, you have to go to this place called Laura Canada. You have to get there in order to change your life. Imagine what you could do with that power. Imagine what you could do with your life. If you want to lose weight, imagine waking up every morning and getting on that treadmill, getting on the exercise bike and saying, today is the day that I'm going to change my life. If you want that new job, imagine walking into an interview and this is what you believe, even though there's other people sitting there wanting that same job you want. You know, you believe the story that you have told yourself is that today's the day I'm going to get that job. And we all do this. We all do this. We all, not all of us, many of us, some of us who are doctors and teachers. Imagine being a bus driver and having a gold digger mentality. That I am going to drive this bus and every passenger that I have on this bus will get to their destination safely because I am a bus driver. I am that teacher. And despite the fact of all the teachers in the United States, or really all over the world, but let's say in the United States, thousands and thousands and thousands of teachers are leaving the school system because of all the conditions. You, Mrs. Smith, you, Mr. Murphy, decided that I'm going to be a teacher because I am a gold digger. I'm going to use that same power to create gold. And all for this. All for the chance. This is what gold looks like when it's wrapped in mercury. Just that little thing. And in his hands, he's holding the possibility of something that will change his life. Just that little speck might change his life. Imagine what you can do with that term when you just reverse it. I've told some of you who've been on this show, everything I do, the things you see I do on Facebook and travels and that, this all came from an insult. And I proudly say my ex-wife told me that I talk too much, that I was a fountain, I have to laugh all the time, a fountain of useless information. Voila. I thought about it. I thought about what can you do with that? What can I do with my gift? That is what you have to do when you begin to discover the power and the value of your own story. This is mercury. This is what they do. This is how they burn off and they pour off. This silver substance. This is pure mercury. You see no safety gloves, no hazmat McQueen. This is what he's working. And hopefully maybe in here is a speck of gold. Lara Kanana. This is the morning traffic that you have to do when you are a gold digger. Notice, no Porsches, no fancy Lexuses. This is what you do when you're a gold digger. And how did this start? This is not something some of you are saying, oh, well, the world is messed up today. No, this has been going on for hundreds of years. This gentleman is named Atahualpa. Atahualpa, which means the Inca, the king, the one. Gold wasn't discovered in South America to about the 16th century. In fact, 1532 was when Pizarro, Francisco Pizarro, came to South America, came to Peru, and he came there with 150 guys. Some people say around 200, but most of the text research 150 guys. And they had to get on a boat. They had to travel months to South America. They had to fight the indigenous people. They had to fight the animals. They had to fight disease. And when they got to the top of the mountains, the Andes Mountains, when they got to the top, they looked down at an encampment where Atahualpa lived. The Incas were warring people. They were always at war. In fact, Atahualpa had just finished a civil war with his brother, and he won. So now he was the Inca. And when Pizarro looked down at the encampment of 80,000 Inca warriors, he said, I don't care. I don't care. His lieutenant was like, sir, what are we going to do? Look how many guys are down there. He said, I don't care. We are here for gold. That is what a gold digger does. That is what gold does. And imagine what I'm saying to you each week is look at the words, look at the terminology, look at the way we look at gemstones, look at the way we desire gemstones, and see if you can take that power and incorporate it in your life. When he saw Atahualpa, Pizarro, and his 150 guys, he knew that he had to get gold by any means necessary. Remember, I told you that King Ferdinand, when he sent Columbus out, he told Columbus, quote, try to get gold as humanely as possible, but no matter what you do, get gold. That is what a gold digger does. That is what someone does who requires gold. So when they came up to Atahualpa's encampment, Pizarro said, just clean up your weapons, make sure everything is shiny, put bells on your horses, because they had never seen horses before. They had never seen white skin before. So they thought that they were with gods. So when Pizarro rolled down the hill, Atahualpa, even though he had all those soldiers right there, Atahualpa was the king. He was the man. So he didn't think anything of it. So when Pizarro said, let's meet. I got gifts for you. I got stuff for you. Atahualpa said, cool. So instead of bringing some of his thousands of men, he just brought 6,000 of his followers, his groupies. 6,000. And when they met, Atahualpa let them come into one of his main cities. He came there and the city was empty because Atahualpa wanted to make a presentation. They came in and the city was empty. And then slowly the procession, kind of like Queen Elizabeth, a procession like that came into the city, and Atahualpa sat on this golden throne, which they estimated weighed something like 200 pounds of pure gold. And the Spaniards went crazy. Of course, the Spaniards was all about God and all about converting the natives to the heathens, the savages, to the powers of God. So when the priests came to Atahualpa with a Bible and said, we belong to a king, talking about, I forgot the king of Portugal at that time, but we come from the king and our king is the representative of God. And Atahualpa said, man, your God ain't my God. And he took the Bible and threw the Bible to the ground. And the Spanish priest said back to Pizarro, go get them. And they mowed down 6,000 people, just right, unarmed. just mowed them down while they were taking their gold. After Pizarro came in November of 1532, and by August of that next year, he destroyed the whole entire 3.5 person population. He worked them to death. Atahualpa, this is the scene from they told, and Atahualpa literally gave them the gold. He literally stood in a room that was 17 by 22, 9-foot walls. He was tall for an Inca. That's probably one of the reasons why he was king. He stood in a room and got on his tippy toes, and he raised his hand up and told Pizarro that I will give you a whole room full of gold. When they estimated, they talked about something probably like 5 tons of gold, which represented 20 years of Inca development. And when he brought the room, they killed him anyhow. And my point is, what if you took that power in your life? What if you took that dedication? So if you took that just complete focus in your life and made whatever you want to do. So I'm going to introduce you, when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to a real gold digger, what a gold digger looks like, and I'll see you on the other side.
Help Heal Humanity is an internationally registered charity mindfully designed to provide the world's most vulnerable communities with access to education, food, support, and love. We build the infrastructure, develop the programming, and foster the global connections necessary to support the charity and future of the people in our project countries. Through unconditional giving, Help Heal Humanity achieves its mission to inspire and love those in need in a compassionate and sustainable way. Our vision is to make conscious giving a widespread global practice through kindness and servitude. Get involved now and be part of our Help Heal Humanity family.
Wow. Hey. First, I just want to give props to Barbara. Barbara always has a great commercial that fits into whatever. So again, not just South America, Africa, Asia, gold diggers. So I want to welcome a brother, not just a good friend, a brother. Charlie is a Marine like myself. So automatically we are brothers, and he is just a wonderful person. Barbara introduced me to him, and the first time we met, it was like, wow. So, Charlie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. No pressure. You're just talking to, I don't know, people in 5 continents. No pressure at all. Introduce you to Charlie Jones.
Hey, Barry, thanks for having me on here, man. It's really fun. And you're absolutely right. Barbara is wonderful. You guys are just a pleasure to work with all the time. So thank you again for having me on here. My name is Charles Jones. Charlie, to anyone that actually knows me. I'm from suburban Chicago originally, served in the Marine Corps, went into boot camp in 2003, right in July 2003, got off active duty in 2007. I was in Fallujah, Iraq for 14 months of that deployment. Went back into reserves after I got out of active duty for another 6 or so years, and then completely separated. I think it was 2015 was my actual discharge date. And since then, I've been working separate jobs, and I have a nonprofit that I am working at now called the Dear Calvin Project, and I create video tribute testimonials for the families of people who've been lost in battle or domestically from serving their country or community in some capacity.
Wow, wonderful. And I don't want to give away this. So tell me first, how did that resonate with you? Because I tell my viewers all the time, when you tell a story, the most important part is not just how you're telling it, but also how it resonates with the audience. So what was, and you're a man, so I want to see, what was your concept of a gold digger before, and has that changed? How does that term resonate with you now after my opening about what a gold digger really is?
Really makes you think about it. taking that quite literally, it becomes totally different than it does when you think of the social connotation of that word. And I'm not too proud to admit, the first thing I think of when I heard the word gold digger before this episode is exactly what the first thing I thought of was literally Kanye West's song. And that's sort of what we get used to hearing in our society these days, and it's not good, it's not appropriate, but that's just kind of what happens all the time. And I don't know, words carry a lot of weight. People don't understand sometimes that what they're saying could be very, I mean, if you were to really call someone a gold digger and you meant it in a bad way, that's a really bad insult. I mean, you're basically telling somebody that they have no ambition whatsoever, and all they're going to do is attach themselves to people that they can feed off of. That's pretty awful. And like you had pointed out earlier, the very second word in that definition, and woman, it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman at all. I mean, there are just as many gold digging men as there are women in the world. So, a little ashamed to admit that the first thought I have when that word comes up is that, but I really like the spin on it that this plays, because it's so true. I mean, those people, wow. I gotta tell you. I mean, Mercury, geez, that's where we get the expression mad as a hatter. They would use Mercury to make hats. And after a career of making hats, you would literally go insane. So it's not even just that you're going to die. You're going to die with no mind whatsoever. It's a painful, very slow and awful process when you die from stuff like that. So it's not even just the fact that you're going to die at 40. You're going to probably start dying right about 20, and it's going to take 20 years to kill you. So awful. But so that I hope that answers your question.
No, that's wonderful. Yes, and people are saying thank you for our service, and Charlie and I, we serve because this is what we were called to do, and it brings me into the point that I was making of you're a gold digger in the sense of not gold, but tell the audience what you do with your the search that you do. What is the other thing that you do that I'm fascinated about? Go ahead and let the audience know. With the snuff bottles, things like that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I do a lot of estate sale, auction, things like that. I go to these and I resell. I've got a shop on Amazon, and not anymore on eBay. I used to be on eBay. They got a little too strict for me. But I like going out and looking for treasures. That's what I kind of consider treasure hunting. And one of the things that we had talked about was snuff bottles. These are little, actually, you know what?
Thank you. Thank you.
This is little snuff bottles. Yes. Stone. And they're interesting. I don't know why I got so into them when I did. I just love them for some reason. They're these tiny little things, and they're just meant to be carried around with you in China, especially in the 1800s. Tobacco, you weren't allowed to smoke tobacco. You had to like use snuff tobacco, which is what I call snuff bottles. And you would carry them around in these little bottles. And after a period of time, the bottles sort of like anything else, like a wallet, like anything else, started to become a status symbol. So everyone, the nicest one or the coolest one, or and there are some unbelievable examples of the artistry that goes into these things. So it was a thing I just kind of introduced myself to, and I sort of dove headfirst into that, and got a little less than 200 of them right now, but they're all very interesting in that the value isn't even just the beauty of the exterior; it's also the material of it and the feel of it in your hand. These are supposed to be carried all the time, so the tactile quality of it is just as important as anything else as well. So they're interesting. Okay. I can talk about them all day.
No, I know. Wonderful. Thank you. So you can hear the passion, of which is part of a story. So let me ask you a question. You're a Marine. You fought in Fallujah. And for those of you who don't know, Fallujah is one of those historical Marine Corps battles. I used to fly. Charlie was down on the ground. Okay. I'm an aviation Marine. Charlie is a ground pounder. He was there. He was there on the ground. I'm just flying overhead. So how did you go from one of the most pivotal, influential battles in the Marine Corps to snuff bottle? What drove you? What drove you to want to do that? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, there's a long distance and a lot of growth in between those two periods of time. I would say, like, I was in the Marine Corps on active duty 3 weeks when I was sent to Fallujah, and I was there for 14 months. So right away, as soon as I got to my unit, I was shipped overseas. And because I hadn't served in the previous conflict with going to Baghdad the year before, I stayed for the entire 14-month tour of Fallujah because the other guys had already deployed, so it wouldn't have been fair to them to make them stay and me go when I only had one deployment, which was fine. You get really used to things over there. It's kind of Groundhog Day every day. But you just, I don't know. It's an interesting thing when you think about like what life was like back then. It's not in every way, but it's kind of similar to the way that those people lived on the mountain. It's like you wake up, you do the same thing every day. There's no days off. There's no time off. You can't go anywhere after work. You just get to talk to the same people that keep pissing you off every single day over and over again. And you just try not to go insane while you're there. It's very boring. I will say that. It's very, very boring. I was a driver. I was not infantry. So I saw a lot of the middle part of Iraq, even up to northern Iraq a little bit. But there's a lot of standing around and waiting. My gunnery sergeant, when I first got to my first unit and we landed in Fallujah, he said probably the best description of war that I've ever heard was hours, days, weeks, and months of boredom followed by moments of sheer terror.
And that's the reason. Thank you for saying that. And that's the reason why I brought you on, Charlie, because I know what you've gone through. And in concert, when I was thinking about the whole thing of what a real gold digger is, I started thinking, and which is the theme of the show, is to show how concepts that we talk about, especially in gemology and jewelry, how those relate to real life situations. So those of you who watch TV or fellow Marines or Army and Air Force, you know what Iraq was like. You know what Afghanistan was like. Those conditions, those pictures that I showed you, as Charlie said, those were places that he actually went to, that we actually were there. So the real question is, or the deeper question is, what kept you going? 14 months obviously is not as long as those people do every day, but 14 months is a long time. So what kept you going? What kept you believing in the mission?
I mean, in every service, I believe, but I think especially in the Marine Corps, you're sort of indoctrinated into the belief that what you're doing when you're in the Marine Corps is what you need to be doing, no matter what. The mission is first always. And that's one of the things I actually like about it, because people act like they're on a team and they work towards a goal together. And honestly, I probably didn't get along with 85% of the people. If you put us in a social situation, like the people that I served with, we probably wouldn't have been friends if we never joined in the Marines. Like I would not have wanted to know them, or they would not have wanted to know me. But it doesn't matter when you're out there. It doesn't matter when you have somebody's back that you need to watch. And it's a very powerful thing. You can hate somebody as much as you want to, but as soon as you leave the wire and you're on a convoy or you're going out and you're checking things, you've got their back, they got your back, and there's no doubt about it. That's a powerful thing. And I would say that if anything, the thing that kept me going, was just the people to my right and left, the guys in my platoon. We all carry each other through all of that. And that's one of the things about veterans that builds such a tight bond, is that you're not just enjoying life together, you're suffering together. And that is so much more powerful as a cohesive element to people, I believe anyways. When you can really know the crappy road that you've walked down with somebody else and they know it, it sort of transcends the getting to know you part of meeting somebody. Like I already know what you're about without ever having to meet you. So when we first were introduced, all I really needed to know is that you were a Marine and you were already my friend. So that's sort of how, that's just sort of how it is. And I believe that's true across the board. And, and I would say that as much fun as we like to have with rivalries in our services, anybody that's picked up a rifle to serve their country is my friend.
And think about that, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, think about that with the overlay of Lara Kananda. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people who are all, as Charlie said, all suffering through this conditions. And yet they're out there every day. They're out there believing, they're out there understanding what when Charlie said indoctrinated, what he's really talking about is a story. We've all believed from those commercials, the few, the proud, the Marines, and it looks real glorious and glamorous and everything else. But those of us who have served, those of us have been in those mud holes and fighting holes and in all the heat and the temperature and the food. Of course, we all know, Charlie, how Marine Corps cuisine is just on par with French cuisine. Of course, we know. We eat lobsters every day. So, but that power. And what I want you to speak on is, how did you take the work that you had to do in Fallujah, and how did you take that story of not only just being a Marine, but what you had experienced? How powerful was that in your own life now that you're a civilian?
Well, first of all, I will say this. I was really pissed that there was no lava monster at the end of boot camp. They had a lava monster in that commercial, and there was no lava monster. False advertising. Yeah,
right.
Anyway.
He's talking about the commercial where the Marine is fighting against this thing like Lord of the Rings, and of course we were victorious because we were Marines, and we go into this mentality, and then we find the real world. Same thing with people who move to Lara Kananda thinking, oh my God, gold is on every street corner, and you find out, no, it's not. So how has that story and the reality of that story helped you to who you are today?
I guess it's really just made me more aware of what I have. I used to take a lot of things for granted. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know what a day's work was when I joined the Marines. Like, I figured it out real quick. But before that, I wasn't as shoulder down, nose to the grindstone kind of person that I was after that experience. And it's one of the best experiences that I've ever had, and the worst, but certainly one of the most important. And that has given me a level of belief in myself for certain things, like going through hard times in my life. I can refer back to like these times when we were on 11-hour convoys and I was 150 degrees outside, in full gear in Iraq, and it was gas mask Wednesday or whatever. And that was not fun.
Sorry for laughing. I haven't thought about that. Gas mask Wednesdays. Yeah, I remember those days. Yes. And those of you that have never had the honor and pleasure of wearing a gas mask, you talk about that mask that we wear for COVID. That's nothing in comparison to a full face a gas mask. So continue, Charlie. Sorry, that image came to my mind.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's awful. But yeah, I mean, I guess it allowed me, and especially with the people, I would say, again, the people are center stage when it comes to my experiences, and like going through things like that, and especially with other people, and being dragged through some of the most awful experiences of my life has given me a level of strength and resiliency to, outlast some of the harder times that I've faced as a person in my life, either as a Marine or as a civilian. When I left the Marine Corps, I had no clue who I was anymore. That was difficult. I had to re-find who I was, and that was a rough road, but I eventually got through it, and still here today.
Cool, wonderful, and I, for one, am glad you're here. It was just a pleasure meeting you, and I'm still excited about the things you do. The theme of this show today is why you should at least consider being a gold digger. So now that you have a different concept of what a gold digger is, not only just from what we were talking about, or I was talking about as far as Lara Condanda, but also your own experiences of hardship and danger. And of course, Marine Corps, we don't make cookies. We have death and destruction all around us. So back to the original question, why do you think it would help people to think like a gold digger, to be a gold digger in your mind, in your own words? Why should people become a gold digger? What qualities can they get out of that?
Well, it certainly allows you to focus solely on one thing. That's number one. A lot of times you can split your focus up and you don't give as much attention to things that are going on as you might like to. And actually, studies have shown that if you focus all of your attention on one thing, not only will you get it done much more quickly, but you'll get it done better and you can move past it. And mentally, that's healthier as well. Having the faith in yourself to get through anything and to just keep on going is something that I really needed when I was struggling with the alcoholism that I went through in my life. Like, I had to trust that I was going to go through these terrible things and have to really work on myself and with myself to make sure that I could get to a healthy place in my life again. And if you don't really buy into that idea, you're never going to last long enough to get to where you want to be. And that, I guess, for me, is the most powerful lesson in that. There's self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe, then you can do it. But if you believe you can't do it, you're not going to. It doesn't matter because you've already given up.
Right. And that's the thing that got me when I study gemology, or just the history of especially gold. I tell people all the time, this metal is the most destructive, intoxicating metal known to mankind. People did everything and anything in the world that you can possibly, all the horrible things you can possibly think of. This is what people did to get gold. But let's flip it. How can we take, as I tell people all the time, my students in workshops, the antagonist is the most important part of the story, because the antagonist is what you have to overcome. That's the obstacle, whether it be internal, external. And what my concept is and belief is, if we can flip that, if we can take that pain, if we can take that despair that we've gone through in our lives, with me, or homelessness, with you, Fallujah thing. I remember reading reports as an aviator thinking, dang, those guys are dealing with this every day. It's crazy. And then you talk about the people, Lara Condanda, the people in Africa, the people in Asia going through this. How can you take that strength, that belief? You look at those pictures, I'm like, man, I'm not waking up today. For what? To go through that again? Some of us are complaining about our jobs. Imagine if you had to do that every day. That is your life. So how can we change that? How can we change that story into something positive? And so what's one of, go ahead. Let me ask you, just as far as time, when you look at the whole thing, what is the one characteristic? Because we talk about characteristics and traits. What is the one characteristic and trait that you think that will help people begin to discover their own value?
Geez, that's a good question. Faith, probably.
Faith in?
Sorry?
Faith in, you're saying faith is a big term. Faith
in general.
What?
You have to have faith in yourself. You have to have faith in what you're doing. You have to have faith in where you're going. You need to have a destination to get to a destination. So that's always important. But if you don't thoroughly believe that you can achieve something, you won't. Or it'll be a surprise when you get there. And that's not really, you won't fight as hard. If you want something that bad, if you're working like those gold diggers do, you're not going to let anything get in your way. Working with mercury, hazardous conditions, no sewage, no running water. God, people think they know what it's like to live in poverty in this country. And I'm not going to say that they don't, but at the same time, when you look at that comparatively, there's nothing here that even comes close.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I think having faith in just what you can do and believing in yourself in order to get to where you want to be is probably the most important thing. That would be my answer to that question.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's a perfect way to sign off. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Charlie Jones. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlie. We're going to have you back, and I want Charlie to come back and talk more about snuff bottles and things of this. So I'll bring you back, and thank you for your comments, your thoughts, and we appreciate, the whole world appreciates you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for your service. So as you can see, being a gold digger can be a positive thing. It just depends on how you change the words, and you can do that in your life. Whether someone tells you you're talking too much or someone's telling you that you're too short or too tall, it's about discovering the value of you. So many of us have gifts and talents that because people made it sound like it's a bad thing, that it made our lives not what we want. But if we can flip it, if we can change it, if we can make those, as I talk about all the time, if we can take those facets and create them in create a gemstone that interacts with the light, then we can be anything we want to be. So when you look at those people from Lara Kandanda and so many other places, just imagine having that spirit inside of yourself, and you go out to the world and conquer and do and become victorious in what you can do in your life. So I hope you got something out of today. It was exciting bringing it to you today. Again, thank you for Charlie Jones for coming today. And to all of you, thank you for viewing. Thank you for coming. Please subscribe because it's important. Barbara gets on me all the time. It's important. But most of all, I want you to take time in your day, in your life, to think about what you've done. Think about what you bring to the world, and begin to discover the value of your stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller, and I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Au revoir, à tutela, voilà.